Alright, let's get into the plot here. Rick and the group entered the Alexandria safe zone and are met by Nicholas, who is a new character in the story, played by Michael Trainer. Some of these characters do look awfully familiar, I can't think of that actor. He plays the kid that Rick meets. But, yeah. Who asked the group to surrender their weapons, so he can, trust them. When Rick refuses, Aaron suggests he first meets our leader, Deanna Monroe. She's, running the whole operation or whatever. Deanna, who first discloses to Rick that she was a former Ohio congresswoman, explains that Northern Virginia was effectively evacuated, but the Army redirected her to the recently constructed planned community with its own solar grid, water cisterns, and eco-based sewage filtration. So she was, kind of put in charge of this town, as a congresswoman. She's and they were kind of well, you're all we have left, so we're just going to put you out here. Her architect husband, Reg, whatever, started building the walls, and they've been lucky with very few people around living or dead. So whoever comes here, they're very lucky to have survivors and kind of hope for the future, Deanna interviews the group members individually, documenting the conversations on camera, because it's they're pretty much representing America right now coming in, and they damn near might be representing the world. Who knows what it's like in the rest of the world. I don't know if the virus spread to them. I don't know if that's something we'll ever learn in this series. Yeah. So, during his interviews, Rick warns her not to accept strangers, to which she retorts that he is already protecting the safe zone. She's like, you guys brought weapons, you're pretty prepared, you've been out there for a while, you've survived, you're protecting us, we need people like you, right? Let's see. While being interviewed, Carol lies about her past, implying that she has few survival skills and was merely a den mother for the group. No, Carol, you've done quite a bit for this group. You're a pretty big deal for these people, so I don't know about that. So, after hesitantly surrendering the weapons, the survivors are given housing, complete with electricity and hot water, and begin meeting the other residents. They're starting to kind of familiarize themselves with the rest of the community, because, sorry about the background noise, because these are the people that they're going to be living a lot of their lives with. It doesn't seem like this place is going to go to shit anytime soon, and I think the survivors truthfully believe that, which is why I think they're going to be in this community for at least the rest of the season, given that the rest of the season and the end of the season is around the corner. I think something bad might happen. We'll have to see. There's already some tensions. Tensions are already kind of high in this episode, so I'm just kind of interested to see how the rest of it's going to go. An elderly couple are enthused about Judith. Having not seen a baby for a long time, they like seeing beacons of hope, new life. Oh, you can have babies in this world right now. That's kind of beautiful. That's a beautiful thing to be able to have a baby in a situation like this. Rick meets Jesse Anderson, a new character played by Alexandra Breckenridge, and by the way, this girl is... Ooh, oh my god, man. She's very attractive. A former stylist who gives him a haircut while Carl meets the local youth whose latest member is Enid. New character played by Caitlin Nakin. A young survivor recently brought in from the outside. She's probably one of the more recent survivors these people brought in. 8 months, she's one of the newer members. And this just kind of goes to show how often they bring people in. It doesn't happen often. People don't just stumble across this place. While pleased with their protection, the group is unimpressed with the residents' survival skills, especially Carl, who notes to his father that the comfort in which they live has made them weak. They don't want to become weak, so if something bad happens and they're cast back to the outside, he doesn't want to be put in a situation where he can't survive because he's becoming too used to this comfortable lifestyle. They just don't want it to be like that. It makes sense. It sounds kind of ungrateful for you to say some things like that, because at some point when you were a kid, Carl, he was living in comfort, It is what it is. If you have that mentality, you have that mentality. Carl notices Enid sneaking out of the safe zone and follows her over the wall, but loses track of her in the woods. She quickly runs away, gets away from him. I think she kind of realizes he's following her. He instead meets Rick, who is attempting to retrieve the pistol he stashed in a blender, only to find it is missing. He's like, damn, where the hell did it go? Did these people take my weapons? Are we sure we can actually trust them? I think the people were probably scavenging, and they found his weapon somewhere and just took it. They're like, okay, we can't be doing shit like this. Rick and Carl team up to kill a group of walkers that rushes them, and one that may have been left as a trap. And for people who want to kind of roam away from the safe zone and go, and for Rick who wanted to get that gun. So yeah, maybe they shouldn't trust these people. Glenn, Tara, and Noah join Nicholas and Deanna's son Aiden, a new character played by Daniel Bonjour, for a training run. So they go on their own training runs. This group has training runs, and Rick and his group, they get kind of a feel for how they're doing things. I mean, everyone's just kind of doing different things, so that's good. Despite Aiden's cocky behavior, his inexperience and recklessness nearly gets Tara killed by a walker, which they had tied up as a practice dummy in revenge for it killing half the last group. Oh, it killed her other group. Well, maybe don't let one fucking walker kill your whole group, dumbass. How about that? Glenn and Tara disagree with Aiden's careless use of a walker. Aiden confronts Glenn about this when they get back, starting a shoving match, then taking a swing at Glenn in front of Rick and Deanna. And this was one of the most badass moments of the show. This was, or not the entire show, just like the episode in general. This was awesome. This was like sweet revenge. I loved this out of Glenn. Glenn ducks the punch and lands one on Aiden while Nicholas tries to get involved, only to be taken to the ground by Daryl. This is not a group to mess with. These people quickly learn this. Rick pulls Daryl off to keep him from going too far, and Deanna instructs the town's residents to treat Rick's group as equals. They're not outsiders. They're one of us, and they're even better than us. They're our superiors, if they know what the hell they're doing. Deanna sends everyone off to check in their weapons and offers Rick and Michonne the job of town constables, which they accept, which is it usually means criminal law enforcement. That's kind of what it means here. Rick's gonna take over a job as a sheriff. He's gonna be watching over at night and stuff. So yeah, Deanna makes a point of thanking Glenn for knocking her son on his ass. She's not even mad at him for it. The guy deserved it. He's kind of a piece of shit. Later that evening, alone with Carol and Daryl, Rick states that if the residents prove too weak to protect themselves, their group will have to take over the settlement and literally just rule. That's all they will do. They don't have to leave necessarily. They just have to rule over the place. Melissa McBride playing Carol. She did good in this episode. A lot of critics. Pretty dope episode. The introduction to the Alexandria setting, its shift in narrative, the theme of civilization, and Carol Poetier and Rick Grimes' character development. Those were all big highlights here. Andrew Lincoln and Melissa McBride's performances were great. The episode would be referred to as the turning point of the season in retrospect. The episode is gripping, and Alexandria is brilliantly realized. Carol's interview is one of the most interesting scenes in the episode. Her transformation from victim to killer, heroine, and tough-as-nails fighter, describing herself as a former housewife, happiest when cooking and homemaking. A- on the AV Club. The writing team was great. They kind of improved on the structure over the course of the series. This is probably one of the better episodes of the season. I think this was dope. Melissa McBride, her interview, the character of Rick Grimes, his struggle settling back into a normal lifestyle, those were interesting points. The new status quo. Another reason that Remember works is that it's the first time in a while that the show has suggested the possibility of a new status quo, one that could significantly affect how things work from now on. What comes across most clearly in Remember is the uber competence of the central ensemble, their skills as survivors, their hesitance to accept the possibility of peace, and their ruthlessness once they realize they might have found a new home. The setting, the previous safe havens the characters have stayed in, and temporarily it's different. This is a lot different now. Alexandria could be a home base that offers more chance for loss and moral complexity than previous settings. Rick keeps saying that life is about survival, but there's a chance to make it about more than that, and it could be interesting to see how Rick deals with that possibility. The introduction to Alexandria was awesome. It was a vast improvement of depicting civilization in comparison to Woodbury, a community introduced in the third season, of course. Carol's reaction to Beat was the standout, very interesting. Carol's reaction was the most interesting one, as she seemingly went all in on participating in the junior league, downplaying the kind of badass she became in the woods, and finally remembering the abusive husband, yeah, right, to Alexandria leader Deanna, while also warning Rick in private that the longer their group stayed in Alexandria, the weaker they would become. People are starting to really love Carol's character for this. Carol surrendering her guns was hilarious. She continues to be the absolute best. The theme of civilization itself was great. Carol was very funny, and her lies, I think it was great how she just played it off. 8.2 out of 10 on IGN. The episode had some really satisfying moments featuring the dirty, exhausted survivors experiencing a bit of culture shock. They're like, wow, this place is actually home. But that's all I really have for today. I'm gonna wrap this video up, go study a decent amount of computing, and then I probably have to go get some lunch. I'm gonna try to get as much stuff done today as I possibly can. I gotta cram some study. I gotta get some studying going. I studied a lot last night, but I still need to keep studying. But yeah, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, it has been GZTV, giving you guys the best TV show content on the internet. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe that's a hot take, but yeah, Twitch streams today. We have the GZTV World Cup. We're starting the group play.